Hello there. My name is Lisa, and I'm a psychologist and expert in conversational AI. In my last video, I talked about the two exciting technologies, conversational AI and generative AI. Yes, and you ended with a terrible cliffhanger. I haven't slept a wink in anticipation of this video for weeks. Obviously. In this video, we'll take a closer look at how organizations can take advantage of these technologies, maximizing the potential while mitigating the risks. But let's back up briefly. Conversational AI is an intuitive and efficient way to interact with technology in your own words. Hey, rental assistant? I need a rental car with a roof box in New York this afternoon. No problem. I'm looking for suitable offers. Companies often use conversational AI in the form of digital assistants. However, as we already established, many people find them extremely frustrating.
Hey, nice to meet you. What do you do?
I work with digital assistants.
I hate chatbots!
For this reason, many digital assistants aren't used as much as companies had hoped when they created them with a lot of manual effort. Then generative AI became widely available. There's a lot of excitement around it because it can be used, for example, to generate text or entire conversations. Many companies now have high hopes for the use of generative AI to automate processes for employees or customers without any manual effort. That's what I thought. But it seems that generative AI poses some challenges if the AI can, for example, be persuaded to offer cars for $1. Not to mention copyright issues. Isn't the New York Times currently suing OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT? Well, that's true. To maximize the potential of generative AI while mitigating the risks, organizations can leverage digital assistants. But they must be reliable, trustworthy, and designed so that people actually want to use them. In addition, they should ideally not offer expensive products for $1 or otherwise damage the business. However, without sacrificing any of the great benefits of generative AI. Yeah, sounds easy enough. Let's be a little more specific. Suppose you're dealing with a really important issue. For example, if I have a question for my bank about my credit card, can a digital assistant using generative AI help me at all? This is a great question. Yes, by getting the assistant to use only your bank's documents for the answer. The exciting thing about generative AI is that it can apply its basic knowledge to new information. If we want the model to only refer to documents from a company like your bank, we can use a search skill to make this new information available to the generative AI. When we then ask it a question, it creates a summary only based on this new bank-specific information. Let's take a look at a concrete example. This is a digital assistant that can answer HR questions of a fictitious company called Rexstar. Of course, it should only refer to the company's HR documents and not just reproduce anything from the general texts with which the artificial intelligence has originally been trained. So when we ask the assistant if we can, for example, fly business class, it searches the company's HR documentation and generates the answer. Without using generative AI for this, every single answer in a digital assistant has to be anticipated, formulated, and implemented by a person. Okay, that is really impressive. That should make a huge difference, right? And make it way easier to find and use data and information. But you also said before that generative AI can generate wrong answers. Isn't that too risky? Well, that's right. Because we are dealing with probabilistic models, it will never be possible to completely eliminate errors. In the future, it will therefore be best practice to combine generated answers with predefined answers by a human in the same solution. So am I getting this right? When I ask a digital assistant a question, sometimes I should get an answer that was generated, and sometimes an answer that was written by a human? How would the assistant know when to do what? We can make this dependent on the question asked. If the user, for example, asks a security-critical question, like this one to a healthcare assistant, it makes sense to predefine the answer, to not take any risks. For less critical topics, like this, for which we have a good databases, it can make sense to use generative AI to scale. Of course, it should be transparent to the user, which answer was generated and which was not. Where it gets really interesting is when we combine both approaches in one answer. Let's imagine we are new to a company and have to travel internationally for the first time. So we ask the HR assistant, I need to travel to Paris. What do I need to do? It now searches for the company's documents and generates an answer. The generated answer informs us about a mandatory request that we have to create, the business travel allowance request. Importantly, at this point, the assistant also shows us the exact documents that were the basis for generating the answer. So the beginning of this conversation was generated. No one had to write it. It was based on the company's records. But now the assistant goes even further. It asks us if we would like to fill out the travel request right away through the chat window. If we say yes, we are guided through this process step by step until the request has been successfully submitted. This part of the dialogue is predefined. Whenever a response is generated that mentions the request, this triggers the assistant to offer this process. It makes sense to predefine the dialogue here, as it is difficult to reproduce specific processes with generative AI. In addition, conversations only using generative AI are not guided at all. This means that the user needs to know all the topics and all the questions. However, predefining all conversations is too time-consuming. This approach therefore combines the best of the old and the new world of artificial intelligence. Okay, that sounds really good. But can't we do anything in addition to prevent the generation of wrong answers? Absolutely. The first important decision is which generative AI model we want to use at all, because there are many different ones and they are suitable for different tasks. Depending on how big they are, they can also be expensive and slow, or cheaper and fast. We can also use different models in the same assistant, depending on the use case. Oh wow! So one assistant can be the ultimate mix and match using different models, data sources, and predefined dialogues? For most companies, that would be the ideal approach. In addition, we can work with so-called confidence thresholds to prevent the assistant to deviate from its tasks or the company documentation. For example, when an employee tells our HR assistant, I want to bake cake, the assistant searches the HR documents for a suitable answer. If it doesn't find one, the assistant makes that transparent and offers the user a number of options so they don't get stuck in a dead end. The assistant is therefore implemented in such a way that it cannot simply generate an answer from the general word knowledge with which the model was originally trained. Oh man, now I want to bake cake. Can you wrap this up? Sure. So, what are the most important takeaways for companies looking to use generative AI and digital assistants in the future to maximize the potential while mitigating the risks? Ask yourself the following questions. What are the tasks the assistant is expected to support the users with? How critical would it be if inconsistent or incorrect answers were given for one of the defined topics? Does the user need to be guided through a specific process? And what is the quality of the databases for the topics that are supposed to be covered by generative AI? Answering these questions can help you decide how you should implement which question in your assistant. You may also want to include special dialogues with which the user can provide feedback to your content management team if something goes wrong. In any case, I wish you lots of success with the implementation and making the most of generative and conversational AI. See you next time.